morning.
Sandy's here, you guys. Good Monday morning, everybody.
Hello.
Yes, Sandy's got her Christmas sweater on, and we have a packed show today for you guys. But you guys listen to Author Talk with me, Amy, Russell. Sandy Lawrence is back today, and our lovely author guest is Patrick Greenwood. So you guys, hey, how's everybody doing? Good? Yes? Oh, I love it.
Good morning.
Oh, I love it. So you guys, my 12 days of page turners kicked off on Thursday, and we've been going strong since Thursday. Good morning, Greg. So we've been going strong. So it has been a fun ride. So as you all know that are listening, I have over 60 authors this year doing the 12 days of page turners, and they're all offering holiday promotions. So to say, yes, James Sandy's in the house. Good morning,
James. Hi.
So to say that it, is only an hour and I'm trying to get everybody fit in, we have gone over 8 a couple of times, honestly, every show. But there has been so many wonderful holiday promotions and everything like that. So that's going to be going on until December 12th. But that was my weekend in a nutshell, besides putting up Christmas lights outside and inside and doing all of that. But what did everybody else do this weekend? Who wants
Sandy, before we get started on your weekend, stand up and let everyone see your Christmas sweater. This is...
I am standing up.
No, really stand up.
Oh, I love it.
This is like...
I got a little kitten.
Oh, nice.
I hate cats like that. This is like a Christmas tradition, Patrick, that every year, we've been doing this for almost our 8th year now.
Yeah.
And every year, all Christmas, Sandy and I would fight on this show because she'd wear these god-awful, ugly sweaters, Christmas sweaters.
I think they're beautiful.
And I've got to admit, yes, I think they are too. I tried to find a Christmas sweater for me to wear as a joke during Christmas in salute to Sandy, and I couldn't find one for me.
Well,
you want me to find you one, Russell?
Yes, find me one.
Just go to Walmart. I went to Walmart and bought several different ugly sweaters because last year for the page turners, I dressed up. It was my first year. This year, we're rocking ugly sweaters and red lipstick. So I'm embracing Sandy with the ugly sweaters. I have a different one on every night, and I went to Walmart.
Let me see your sweater.
I don't have it on. This is just...
You don't have it on for the show?
No, I have it on for my 12 days of page turner.
Okay, I'm going to wear one. I'm going to go to Walmart and get the ugliest sweater I can find for 12 page turners.
I love it.
Beautiful.
It's an ugly sweater party. I love it. We've been having so much fun, Russell. You're going to be on December 8th, so make sure, everybody tune in for December 8th to see me and Russell go at it for 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to be a lot of fun. But what else did everybody else do this weekend? Russell, you didn't go anywhere adventurous?
No, it was raining all weekend and cold in Atlanta, and I loved it. I love that I have like seasons now. Patrick, I lived in Houston for 40 years. Now I live in Atlanta, and we have seasons, and I have trees that drop, like 3 inches deep in leaves you're in California, so you don't have that. But 3 inches deep in leaves in the fall, it's just perfect in Atlanta. It's Christmas weather.
Beautiful.
I love it. I didn't do anything, but I'm dying to. I would have been on my bike this weekend, which we're about to talk about with Patrick because he's such an adventurer. But it was wet, and I don't get on road bike tires with wet concrete because it's dangerous.
It can be.
Yes.
I use all-weather tires, Russell. I switched all-weather tires a few years ago, and I got to tell you, even in rain out here, you can still ride in it. So try some all-weather tires. It may slow you down a little bit.
I'm 65 years old. I cannot afford a broken collarbone. So I just won't do it. I have these perfect road tires for my perfect bicycle, and I wouldn't change anything about it. Plus, it's about 20 years old because I didn't even know you could buy an all titanium bicycle anymore. You said yours is.
Yep.
Did you just buy
Yes.
it?
Mm-hmm.
See,
Yeah,
I
well, I
didn't
had
know
to
you
buy
could
it
do
and then
that.
had to take components to it. Yeah.
I won't even add anything to it, any new marvelous invention to the bike, because I want it perfect the way it was when it was new.
It's original. Yeah.
Oh,
It's a good way to look at it. Beautiful.
Yes.
I'm like that.
Sandy, do you cycle? Sandy, are you a cyclist?
No.
Oh yeah, she's a big biker.
Actually, it would be funny if we had time to. I don't have a very good balance,
Mhm.
and so anytime I love riding a bicycle, but I've never ridden one yet that I didn't fall or do something. So it got to the point that my family would see me get on the bike, and they're like, "Nope, nope."
No.
So I don't. So I don't. I can't skate or ride a bicycle.
So
I
Patrick,
still do the
Sandy, what'd you
stationary.
guys
I
do
love the
this
stationary.
weekend?
But
Riding, cycling.
now the stationary bike, I'm good at that.
Me
I
too.
do that at Planet Fitness all the time.
She probably has a seatbelt on it.
I just don't understand you guys. Even if I do the stationary bike, like at, the gym or whatever, maybe it's just me. Maybe I need new pants or something, but it makes my butt hurt. And I'm not a fan of that.
You need new pants.
Wear
It's
pants.
one of the rules of
Wear
biking.
the butt pants. Absolutely.
Yeah, you buy the most expensive pants you can afford. That's a
Yeah.
rule.
Okay.
There's all these rules, like about your hiking gear she's going hiking in a few months in Hawaii, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her to get all her gear now and start wearing it now.
Get used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do. Yes, I have them. I have my hiking shoes. I have everything. I've been wearing them around, So it's been a whole thing. We're going to do the I don't know. Russell knows the name of it a lot better than I do. But
She's
it's
hiking like a 12-kilometer hike on Kauai.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that hike on.
So it's rocks.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Everybody can see Amy falling off stationary bikes.
It's on the west end of the island. It's the Grand Canyon of Kauai. Actually, I have a place there, and I got to tell you, if you're going to that end of the island where it looks like the Grand Canyon, it's incredible hiking. You're going to have a blast.
Oh, I'm excited about it. I know that there's like waterfalls, and then
Yes.
there's like I was watching this video, and there's like this garden there from people that used to live there, and you can go and see it and do all of that, and it just like grows. It's so fruitful, and all the waterfalls and stuff. So I'm excited. I'm excited to do it. I just have to do some practice backpacking.
She needs to get in shape, Patrick.
Oh no,
that's what she needs. She needs to get in shape. I've been telling her and telling her.
Be all nice and be like, no, I just need some experience. But Russell,
start working out, girl.
You'll have a blast. Kauai is the least touristy out of all the islands in Hawaii. It is the least touristy. It's the most laid back. The people are wonderful. The food is great. The scenery is great. It rains a lot, as you're going to see, but it doesn't matter. You get out and have a great time. The water's fantastic. You see turtles everywhere. It's an incredible island for sure.
Oh, nice. I'm really excited.
Yeah, but don't eat turtle.
No.
You see them. Don't eat them.
Don't touch them either. Don't
It's
get
like
near
a
them.
rule.
Yeah.
No.
Even if you're in a restaurant, don't order the turtle soup. It's against the rule.
I never would have thought that.
What is wrong with that? I've never heard this before.
Well, because they're majestic animals that shouldn't be eaten.
Can't touch them either. If you're snorkeling and they come up on you, backpedal quickly. Don't touch them. It's a whole sacred thing there. But yeah, we keep it in.
It's a sacred thing.
Yeah.
I actually flew in a helicopter where she's going to hike to see everything.
Nice.
So it was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we need to thank the people listening to us on the podcast. Patrick, most people do not watch us on Mondays on the show. Most people listen to us during the week on the podcast. Mm-hmm. We are very humbled that we were rated top 10 independent book podcast in America, and we're very proud of it. And we want to thank the people that listen to us. You can also, if you want to follow us more, you can join us on our author page on Facebook, AuthorTalk page. In fact, Patrick, I was so excited about your book that I've already put it on the page where your book is, because I'm so, and I've actually put it on my author page too
Thank you.
already, because I'm so excited about this. I knew people that were in this situation that made it to America. I actually, when I was in law school, some of the Vietnamese that escaped from Vietnam that were fishermen on the coast in Texas back in the 80s were being harassed and actually repressed by other fishermen because they were working too hard.
Yeah.
And there was legal situations, and I actually gathered a bunch of law students. We all went down there and helped them during that time. So I'm very excited about your book.
Well, thank you, sir. And thank you for what you did. That's a wonderful story about, again, we'll definitely get into it because there's so many different layers of understanding the Vietnamese culture and the people, not only during the war, but after the war.
Exactly.
And a lot of my book was influenced by a lot of the refugees that came here to America as well.
Wow.
Amy, before we get started, your 12 days of Christmas.
Yes.
Page turners.
Page turners. See, I never say that right.
You're getting there.
Do you have a funny story about something that's happened this last week on your shows?
Yeah,
and then would you and Patrick explain, because we've had millions of questions from authors. How do you get on AuthorTalk? How do I get on AuthorTalk? Patrick's kind of a good story that is an answer to all those questions.
Well, first you got to follow Amy. Start with the basic fundamentals. Follow the show. Yes.
Yeah. No. So to get on the show, so me and Patrick we're friends on LinkedIn. Yeah. Patrick sent me a message on LinkedIn telling me he would love to be on. When did I have availability? And I literally sent him back the availability. I booked him. I sent him the link. We were all set to go like that day. I think within the whole conversation was like 30 minutes, I think, back and forth. So that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. Send me a message. As long as I'm on, I will see it and answer you, or I'll answer you on my phone and we'll play tag and we'll do that. As for a funny story on the 12 days of page turners, I actually have one about myself on the 12 days of page turners. And I think it was on Saturday. So I have a lamp over here and a lamp right here. My lamp over here, we were battling it out. It wouldn't stay on. So I was dark. And so we were having a battle. And that came into the show where we're like, Amy, have you won the battle with the lamp yet? And then it magically came back on in the middle of the 12 days of page turners on the 3rd. And so it was like a running joke with everybody that was attending. I think we had 5 or 6 authors that night. And so they were all like, you finally won the battle, with it. But it's been so much fun. I've learned so many different things, like how in-depth subgenres are of romance and the different terminology for each one and what it means. I learned that last night. And then I've just learned different inspirations on writing. One was writing herself into scenes on Saved by the Bell because she wanted to be that guy's girlfriend, and she wrote herself into that. And that's how she got started writing. And so, she wrote a one-woman show, and this is Jen Lieberman, who we've had on AuthorTalk, and that's how she got started. And that I've never heard of something, someone that's how they got started in their creative writing and everything. But the most common thread has been that writing has always been a part of them since they were little. And so it's the most common thread, and it's the most beautiful thing to see. And I mean, Sandy's the one that started the whole thing. I just, continued her legacy.
You have made it blossom, though. I have to tell you, you have gone way, way beyond what I did.
It's been a lot of fun. But Russell, my lamp battle and the wanting to be Saved by the Bell, one of the Zach character's girlfriends. So she wrote herself into the scene. So
you needed to take your dogs to the same school that you dropped all your kids off at.
There's someone next door doing like work outside, so my dogs are losing it. And it's just, I can't win for losing. I just can't. But at least it's not a child at the vent of my door screaming like last week. Okay, like that one, that was miserable. But this week is better. At least they're in a distance.
All good and fun.
Yeah, it's definitely all good.
All part of real life and working from home and all that's involved in that.
Yes. I'm telling you. But you guys, let's get Patrick talking about his book. I know Russell has so many questions and he's dying to dig in, and Sandy is the exact same way. So it's a battle of the questions that's about to happen. So without further ado, Sandy Russell, let's get Patrick talking about his book.
Well, Patrick, I loved everything you had to say in your about Patrick Greenwood on Amazon. So everybody, I would encourage you, if you're the least bit interested in this book, go read the background. I told Patrick earlier, I love the opening paragraph. I'm working with a client to help him get an agent. And so I know how important that opening paragraph is, whether you're pitching the book to sell it to a publisher or whether you're selling it to the reader. It's still important that you get that pitch out there and you draw people in and make them want to. So I love that with echoes of Tom Clancy and Jack Higgins. Sunrise in Saigon is Patrick Henry's first book in a new series about cybersecurity. So all of that, cybersecurity is interesting today. And this is the first in a series. So I loved everything about that. And so congratulations. That's a huge thing. So how did you get started on this book? What made you write this book?
So the book itself is a great question. It actually started as to give you a little hint to the book. It really started when I was 11. And I remember very well the fall of Saigon in April of 75. I remember listening to it on the radio and hearing, obviously what was going on. And as a kind of like a young man growing up in Northern Virginia, definitely a lot of military around. And you saw a lot of guys coming back, from the war, and you saw a lot of people that didn't want to go to the war, and you saw a lot of the protests going on. So that really was the first kind of inclination, me being really curious about Vietnam, because we were all young enough trying to figure out what Vietnam was or what was it all about. And that was really the beginning of it. The book itself really started to really take shape around 2019 from a bike trip I took in 2012. So I went there originally to cycle around the country. And in the process of cycling, I discovered so many things that I wanted to see. The people, I wanted to find a lost embassy, because I was always, everyone watched the time-like picture of the embassy, at the fall of on April, and people trying to climb the barbed wire to get out, and the helicopters all trying to get out and everything. So to have the ability to kind of find that place was important. Operation Baby Lift, when President Ford and the Catholic nuns, tried to get as many orphans out as possible. I always wanted to find the nuns and ask them, why didn't you get out, when you had a chance to get out? So there were so many back things about Vietnam was intriguing to me, but I really didn't sit down on the couch until 2019 when I sort of put together this fictional side of the story. Again, a lot of the book got some non-fictional stuff in it, but at the end, there was a lot more storytelling to kind of make it a better blend.
Well, congratulations. And I know that the fact that you went there for a bike trip is definitely one of the pieces of your interview that was very interesting to Russell, who also is a biker. So, Russell, did you want to ask him any questions about that?
Yeah, I did. You actually biked through Vietnam.
Yes.
Did you go into Cambodia or Laos as well?
Yeah, so I actually cycled from Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon all the way to the Cambodia border and back. And then obviously through the Mekong Delta region as well. A little bit north of Saigon as well, but most of the cycling I did on my first tour was around the 13 districts within Saigon. So it's made up of 13 districts that kind of make up the city. And a lot of the story talks about, battling with the motor scooters and the cars, and the roads are not built for motor scooters and cars. But it also inspired, as you can see later in the book, about my kind of like my devotion to a charity called Helmets for Kids in Vietnam. So the proceeds of the book actually goes to actually help support Helmets for Kids. Because while I was cycling there, the amount of children I saw having accidents because they just could not compete with the scooters and the cars was really heartbreaking. So that actually was one of the motivations of the book, was to not only write it, but also be able to donate the proceeds to help buy as many helmets as possible.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that. I love it.
So the actual helmets are made here. Actually has my logo on it. My Cycle Rider logo is there. So currently today, I think we've donated close to $2,000 worth of money to the program, and that's provided over 200 helmets for kids. And it's an ongoing program. I plan to hopefully have at least 1,000 helmets by the end of next year. But that was one of the real underlining, motivations of the book, was to be able to not only, obviously write it, but also, try to use some of the proceeds in order to help support some funding there as well.
Very good. Now, since being on this podcast is one way of you're marketing your book, right? I mean, we all know that's part of why we want authors on. So what other marketing have you done? That's one that's always been my greatest interest in a book is what are you doing for marketing?
So I have I've done a lot of interviews as well. So a lot of press interviews, like iMag Magazine and others have come on, and Writers, Life has also done an interview with me as well. So I've had people that have reached out to me to say, we want to know more about not only the book, because we think the book is fascinating, but really understanding, like, why did you contribute to Helmets for Kids? I mean, what made you want to make that your kind of like your benefactor? And then they always ask the fun question, what's the story behind the coffee? So the coffee is another one. So I actually started CycleWriter3Espresso.com coffee. And again, proceeds of the coffee actually go to Helmets for Kids as well. So I drink a lot of my own coffee, thank God, but it's wonderful. But coffee was originally, I started the coffee company to help raise money for the kids. And then the book came along, and then I do mug sales as well. But a lot of people are intrigued by, what difference do you think you can make? Even if it's only one helmet, that's one
kid.
Saved,
One kid.
That's right.
It's enough.
So it's all worth it.
One kid.
That really does make anybody want to go buy the book. So if you're watching today, Amy just posted the link to Amazon where you can go get the book.
Thank you.
Either hard copy or ebook. It's all available. So I just love it that it really is. You're contributing towards buying helmets for these kids.
Yes.
That's awesome. I told you before we got on the show, I have a Vietnamese daughter-in-law, and I love, they go back, my son and she and my son go back over there like every couple of years. And they always come back and tell us some of the things that they sleep on floors, and there's just a lot of things about that culture that I've learned through having this daughter-in-law. And so congratulations on that. That's awesome. Now you told me that the fiction story we read about is not based on your life in any way. It's not an autobiography or anything like that you wrote. Is that right?
Well, if it was, it'd be boring. So there is a lot of nonfiction to it, of course. Definitely some things influenced by actual events. In the book, not to give away too much because I want people to really enjoy it. But the part about the Catholic nuns and trying to find them, the whole journey of that was very real. Going into the White Room, where the nuns were living, that was very real. That was a very emotional time to actually see them still alive after almost 35 years since the end of the fall of the war. So the parts about the CIA and a few like that, that's a little stretchy on the story side. But a lot of the pieces of the book very much were started as nonfiction, but had kind of a fictional storytelling ending to that. And I think what really made the book fun was that when I originally wrote it in its draft form, I kind of read it a few times, went boring. So I started adding some fictional components to it to make it a readable form. Because ultimately I wanted people to buy it, wanted people to enjoy it, and then obviously have some fun with it as well. But there's pieces in the book. Obviously, I was in the Marine Corps, 1982, 1988. I served very proudly in the Corps. I got a chance to be stationed overseas multiple times. I've cycled overseas multiple times. Always wanted to go to Vietnam since I was 11. And then in 2012, I finally made the journey. The part about the water company, I did actually invest in water company there after my first cycling tour, because I found a lot of children when I was cycling all had black teeth in their mouths in some of the outlying districts. And many of them were drinking sugar because they couldn't afford water. So I found a water company that was sort of run down in one of the outlying districts and said, what are you doing here? I said, oh, these are reverse osmosis, whatever. So I became an investor in order to try to clean up the water company. And then we started producing water that was affordable. And then we used to give out bottles and cases of water to different temples and churches there and provide for orphans as well. So that stayed running till 2014. But it was all the proceeds went to supporting the Catholic nuns and the orphans did as well. But that was sort of my first real big investment was in the water. And as you can see later on, as I wrote the book and get into coffee, that supports the helmets. But no, I've done multiple charities in Vietnam over the last few years.
Wow, that's very impressive. I love that. So the part that's not true, the part that was spiced it up so it wouldn't be boring, is what has your book as the genre a romance, right?
Yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
historical fiction. So,
Yeah.
so I won't give it away because I did like the way it. You can read about it on Amazon when it tells about how the two people met.
Yes.
So, Russell, you wanted to talk about several things with Patrick. So, jump
Yeah.
in.
Thank you, Sandy. Okay, what kind of research did you do for about, because I know you had to do some kind of research about the people that experienced what you wrote about. So
Yes.
how did you research this? We're talking about people that escaped at the last moment on the roof of the embassy in Saigon.
Yes.
So how
So,
did you do that research?
so great question. So I did serve in the Marine Corps in the 1980s, and there was a lot of Marines still in the Marine Corps back then. We're all from Vietnam era. So a lot of the majors and colonels and captains that I remember, when I served, I used to ask them all the time, "Hey, what was it like?" And I had a chance to actually meet 4 of the Marines that were left over at the embassy itself. The last 4 that got out, I actually got to meet 3 of them in my lifetime. And this was back before I even thought of writing a book. This was just being inquisitive. When I was in college in 1982, I wrote a little piece in the book that talked about how this young lady came over into the study room and helped me with my calculus because I was very frustrated. I had no idea who she was. She literally just walked in and says, open your book. Keep trying. And she was this wonderful Vietnamese young lady that I didn't know who she was, never saw her again. But the kindness that I witnessed early on was like, here's a girl that a year ago was probably living in Vietnam, and a year later she's going to college in America, right? But to have that kindness in her heart. And so when I had the chance to not only, meet soldiers and Marines that were in the Vietnam era and ask them what it was like for them, and I wrote a little bit about that in the book as well, about some of the, feedback I got from them. That was part of where a lot of the research came from. When I was there in 2012, I had a chance to kind of go around and, meet people and so on. But I really did not have to sit down and do traditional research. I had so much life experiences, especially if you grow up in Northern Virginia. There's a lot of Vietnamese that have relocated there after the war. A lot of people that survived the boat people and others. And then living out here in California, I remember Tent City at Camp Pendleton, which was a refugee camp. And I realized years later, I don't know if you know the story, but the years later, the reason why there's so many Vietnamese nail shops is that many of them learned how to do nails at the refugee camp here at Camp Pendleton after the war. So a lot of the actress that was in The Birds, I forgot the lady's name, but she actually came to the refugee camp and actually taught some of the ladies how to do nails. And that became the famous Southern California Nail Salon Academy, was founded by the refugee camp here in Camp Pendleton. So I mentioned that in the book as well. So I've already had a lot of ability to be around Vietnamese people pretty much the last 25, 30 years. Incredible. I work in technology. I've been in cyber for 27 years. A lot of Vietnamese software engineers I've known growing up working together. So I didn't really need to go out and do any hardcore research because I just had so much time and spent around the community, and I've always really kind of admired them as well.
So what is the technical part of the book that you wanted to write? Because you haven't really talked about that. And you don't have to talk about what is in the book specifically, but what are the areas that you felt that you were knowledgeable enough to write about and that you wanted to say something about?
Well, I think Sandy hit it best, is that there is a romantic element to the book, and the romantic element really is the relationship that Jack and Lynn shared. Now,
Yeah, but romance isn't really the technical part.
Well, but there's a little bit of that.
I mean,
yeah, no, there's some
maybe it
technical
is for
to it.
you. I don't know, but
No, there's some technical to it. Well, yeah, okay. That part we'll leave out. Let the readers figure that one out. But it does talk a little bit about that. But the one thing that's important about the technical side of it, and that comes towards the middle to the end, when the character Travis Jones gets introduced. Because Travis Jones is important because in the next book, which is dubbed Codename Dragonbolt, which is due out next July, this is book 2 in the series of Jack Kindle. There's a lot more technical hacking and cybersecurity that comes into the next book. But the introduction to Travis Jones and some of his early atrocities really opens the door on, okay, now we're getting into cyber hacking, we're getting into Bitcoin hacking. There's a lot more of that that's coming in other books that are part of the series. This one really, if you really look at the cover, and I really I actually shot this cover, by the way. This was actually shot on 12/12 of 2012. So as you read the book, there's kind of a very significance to that date. So this Yeah. So when you see the river, and you see this is the Saigon River here at sunrise on 12/12 of 2012, everyone kind of looks at the picture and says, "Oh, love the cover," but do you understand the cover? Now, Sandy, you were going there, so we're going to go there. The river separation, there will always be a river between them. So one of the underlining plots to the storyline was when people keep asking, when they read it, going, "Okay, what's this thing between Lynn and Jack?" That I said, "Look at the cover. There's no bridges, there's no canal, there's no water line. There's a gap, and that gap will always exist." So that was a really important part of
Wow.
the storyline, was understanding the cover. Right now, when we get into some of the cooler things towards the end, when Travis Jones comes to surface, and a little bit of what Forrest Adams did. Forrest, obviously, the CIA guy, had a big role in the book as well. He has a bigger role coming up in the next 2 books as well. But the book was really more of a historical fiction romance with the introduction of some technical stuff at the end.
Very good. So that was going to be my next question. Was this is the first in a series? So
Yeah.
what happens to what do you have planned for the rest of the series?
Well,
so
so
now
the
we
next,
know.
no, great question. So the next one gets a lot more into, now that Jack has sort of kind of found his way being a global troubleshooter, and he gets brought into action at the end to have to deal with this ultimate dirtbag, right? And he's about to do some conquering things. The role of Regina, the daughter, and the role of the son become incredibly important. To give you a little hint, Regina becomes the ultimate badass in the next 4 books. William becomes an ultimate hacker, which is pretty exciting. Forrest saves the day, as you can always possibly imagine. But the truth to be told, one I did an interview this weekend, and someone that was of Vietnamese descent asked this question, because what happened between Forrest and Bowie? The original storyline really was the Embassy Gate, tragedy on April 30th of 75. Forrest, 19-year-old Marine, reaches into the crowd to try to pull Bowie into the embassy. He gets pulled back, she gets pulled back, and they don't see each other for 20 years. That was the original story, was going to be that. But I read it and I said, okay, I love this idea. Problem is, by the time I get to book 7, Forrest is 197 years old. so that's what really motivated me to write the Jack and Lynn story, because that way Jack and Lynn can kind of make it through at least book 5. But that really kind of set the tone on where I wanted this to go as a series as well.
Wow, you've done so much as far as, you still work full time, is that right?
I'm a full-time writer. Actually, I write cybersecurity blogs for clients. So I'm hired by technology companies today that say, "Hey, we have a product coming to market. Can you write our blogs for us?" So when I'm not writing fiction, I actually write under my real name, which is John Gormley, and that actually is where I do cybersecurity blogging for clients.
Wow, what an interesting person you are, Patrick. This has been a great interview. I love, and all of this just by asking questions, something else comes up, and
it does. I got to say, Patrick, do you go to the hacker conventions in Vegas every August?
No.
You don't?
No, I do not.
Never did. I follow,
Never, and I'll tell you why. I'll be honest.
There is a specific reason. I could tell by the way you answered that there's a very specific reason.
So I have been on the vendor side since the late 90s. So I've worked for Cisco, Microsoft, F5, Citrix. I've worked for several tech companies over the years. Whenever you hear people going to Black Hat and going to the hacker conventions in there, again, those are half of those are wannabes. The other half of them are people that FBI has been looking for many years. So I'm not a fan of really getting to that subculture, because I've been on the offensive side. I've been on like the defensive side, like actually helping customers prevent them from getting hacked. That's been my culture for the last 20 plus years, both as an engineer and as a product and as a salesperson. So I've never really said I really want to be near the adversary, because when you go to those conventions, you get caught up in, wow, that really happened. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I saw hacking all day long when I support global accounts, but I never went to those purposely, because I was always on the defense. I was the vendor side. Now, vendors today, it's no longer a hacking convention anymore. It's kind of become more like a vendor thing, and it's good parties and people hang out at pools and drink beer. But back in the old days, when they really had that convention, the real one, they used to drive around Vegas hacking into people's Wi-Fis, and they try to hack into a casino machine. But that sort of has kind of subsided. It's now become very commercial. which again is not very appealing. So no, I prefer to go to other events, more customer facing events is what I really love to participate in.
Russell, I want to talk to him about his publisher. Do you want to talk any more about the
No,
Vietnam?
I'll shut up.
Okay.
Otherwise, because I could talk about these hacking conventions all day long.
Do you go to them, Russell?
I actually follow them online every year, and not the Black Hat one, but the one that comes before it, which is the more gray one, as he described it.
Yes.
Which has some fascinating activity that goes on.
Yeah,
but you go ahead.
No, when they hacked the coffee machine, I thought that was cool. I mean, that was pretty novel. But it's when you really have really good conversation about cybersecurity, and the reason I still write blogs today for people because I really enjoy the subject. But many of my customers ask me repeatedly, we don't have an answer for ransomware. We do not have an answer for people stealing people's credentials. We don't have an answer on how to stop email hacking. True. However, you can reduce the threat. So a lot of my writing is about helping people reduce the threat. Case in point, if you have a home network, please change your password. So start there. Little things like that. But I enjoy writing. I enjoy writing blogs. I enjoy writing for clients as well. But I don't personally don't go to those events. But I do enjoy writing and reading and studying the event as well.
So that means you have to stay up on the latest and greatest stuff that's going on then.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So one thing also, Sandy, I want to ask you, because you've had a chance to kind of read the Amazon piece of it as well. When you saw the cover, what did you think of the cover? Just now that you know the story behind it, what do you think of the cover now that you've heard my version of it?
And I loved the cover, but not for any reason that there was a river or a gap between them. That had nothing to do with my first impression. It was just a beautiful, beautiful picture, and of the Saigon River and all that. So no, I loved the cover, but I had no clue that there was a hidden meaning behind it. So that was good to know. Very good to know, actually.
Thank you.
And very interesting that every single thing that you've done there's been something hidden behind there or some message that you're getting out. I love all that. I'm very impressed. And I'm not that easy to impress with authors anymore after all these years, but that's how.
True statement.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, after a while, you get here's another person who wants to be an author, and my heart goes out to them, and I always wanted to work with authors, so I loved it. But I love that you put so much thought and effort and everything, including the cover had a secret meaning. So now let me ask you about Austin Macaulay Publishers.
Yes,
they're in London.
They're actually New York, London. They're in the Middle East as well, and they're also in Sydney as well. So they're global. I did sign with them in 2019. The querying was very easy. I think within a matter of weeks, we came to an agreement on how we want to bring the book to market. They are very much of a traditional / new hybrid model publisher. And originally, when I started digging into it, obviously everyone has dirt, but I kind of read them through and said, boy, they had a little bit of a bad press early on. They were seen as more of a vanity player. But what I did, remarkably, is I bought 47 of their books online. And I actually read all 47 of them and said, okay, they actually make good quality product. So that was my first thing of working with them was I read your stuff. Okay, I read your authors. I wrote reviews for the authors and everything kind of.
And they have a lot of authors too.
They do. So I read about 47 of their books and I really liked their quality. Then I also started doing my own research. When you start adding up the cost for things like editing, development editing, line editing, and actually having an audiobook. So my audiobook will be coming out in late January as well. And then as you can see, I've got my paperback up on Kindle. I've got the ebook on Kindle. I've got obviously hardback as well. And I'm also on Barnes & Noble. I'm on Walmart.com as well. So I'm almost on 13 sites right now, thanks to Austin Macaulay. So when you realize that the cost of what authors have to pay just to do an audiobook now, and other things, it far more is what they wanted to charge me. So we came to a financial agreement to say, okay, this is what I'm willing to pay. Here's the royalty splits that we'll do. But it was important as a writer for me to get my very first book out there as a traditional write, and it did. So obviously, I'm very thankful for them. They're an incredible house to work with. I had calls with people in Dubai that were like my editors. I had people. The audio is actually being recorded in Singapore. They found a very nice young lady, a Vietnamese young lady living in Singapore that has a wonderful voice that's doing the audiobook as well. Wow. So the resources they brought to bear. So I gave them a 5 stars across the board. And but they, like everybody else, they struggled during COVID. trying to get hold of people for about 6 months was a real bear. But once everything kind of settled, we came together and had a really good marketing plan. And the nice thing is the quality of the book that came out was excellent. And then, of course, the delivery to Barnes & Noble on day one was excellent. They pre-populated Barnes & Noble with several copies of the book, which I really loved. And I just found out that a few of my family friend members in China actually bought through Austin McCauley's website yesterday. So they do have a global reach, which is another important part of the book distribution.
Yeah, because it is a global
Yep.
story.
Yeah.
And because you majored in global marketing, so you got the word global all over what you do.
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, Amy, we got about 5 minutes left, and that's pretty much all the questions I had for him. So
I do have one more question then.
Sure.
Go for it.
So your book's selling in China. How did you pass the censors?
I think what they did is I think they probably used a VPN, and they probably VPN through the Chinese firewall to get to a website that they can order it, and then they're probably having the book delivered outside of China. Probably is how they're doing it.
That's interesting. When I traveled through China, we used a VPN the whole time. Mm-hmm. We could even post on Facebook in China without being censored if you use a VPN. It's an amazing piece of equipment on a computer.
So the funny story is, and I kind of bring this up later, and actually I think this is in Shores of Okinawa, which is book 3. I talk about sitting on the Great Wall of China while using a Huawei 5G connection and VPNing through the firewall.
I've done that on the Great Wall using a VPN, posting pictures.
Yeah,
I actually did that.
But you got to be sitting somewhere strategic. I was on the Great Wall. I was actually in the Forbidden City. I was sitting down in one of the temples doing the exact same thing, doing a little video like, hey, and of course that was having a little fun with it. But I do bring that up in one of the books about how to hack through the Chinese firewall.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know how you follow that up, Russell. That was a fantastic question. But you guys, I know that we are coming up on time. So I'm going to do last minute comments, statements, anything from either one of you before I wrap this up. Sandy, Russell, anything?
Well, I just got to thank you for coming here. This has been one of my favorite interviews because there are so many things about you I'm interested in. Just what you just started talking about at the Forbidden City. That's a whole 2 days worth of drinking coffee and having a conversation about.
Totally.
I actually preferred the Summer Palace when I was there, but I actually used a VPN and posted from the Great Wall.
Yeah.
So it's great talking to you, Patrick.
You too. Thank you.
Been very good to talk to you, Patrick.
Thank you, Sandy.
Very eye-opening and very, just very impressive.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And it has been a lot of fun. Russell was so excited. I mean, he was texting me. He was so excited when I told them and gave them all of your information this morning. So he could not wait for you to get on. He was giddy, just so excited. I haven't seen that Russell that excited.
I have never been giddy in my whole freaking life. I was not giddy. I am not giddy.
Okay, well, it's Amy's time. It's Amy's time to talk, and Amy says Russell was giddy. So we're going to go with that. We're going to leave on that because that is the perfect thing to leave on. But to be fair, Russell always says I have like a million kids because my kids are 13 months apart, so I can call him giddy. That's how we're going to do this.
I love it.
But Patrick, man, this has been amazing. Such a fun, interesting conversation. Your book is beautiful and amazing. And so thank you so much for writing it. Thank you for taking time out of your morning to come and talk to us. I'm sure it's early in California.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. No, my honor to be here, guys. I follow you guys' show. I watch your episodes. I love it. Amy, thank you for getting me on like this. Russell and Sandy, great pleasure, and happy holidays to everyone as well.
And I just want to say thank you to Fern for taking a teaching job, and she couldn't be here today, so I got to be here. I was here originally, but I retired almost 2 years ago, and so now I just get called in when Fern's or Russell one is not available. So I'm glad it worked out, and it always does. It's always perfect that the guest is someone that I can just very much relate to. So thank you again, Patrick.
Oh, yes. No, thank you all very much.
It has been so much fun. Well, you guys, make sure you join us tonight, the 12 Days of Page Turners. We are on day 5. We have a new lineup of authors with new holiday promotions, and it has been so much fun. So make sure you join me on all of my channels, AuthorTalk, LinkedIn, everywhere this evening at 7 p.m. That's going on all the way into the 12th. But we hope everybody has a fantastic Monday and a great rest of your week. And we'll catch you all next Monday. Bye.